Hey, how's it going, guys? I am back now for PixlTalk episode 85. If you are looking at the screen behind me, you'll see that Pixelbit has had some more updates. So kind of like our past episodes, I'm going to try to keep it a little bit briefer today. I've got a topic again that I'm going to talk about, and we'll cover a couple games I've been playing, and a little bit about the site to kick things off. So as you can see in the background, Pixelbits had another big update or semi-big update. So one of the things that I really wanted to enable in the new version of the site is short-form content. So if you cut over to your follow feed, which is now right here on the dashboard instead of in your user profile page, on your user dashboard page, it's right here, right on the site's homepage. And as long as you're signed in, you click the follow button and you will get bits posted on your home follow feed. So you can see here I follow Joaquim. He posted something. My own bits show up here on the page now. You can upvote or give a thumbs up to a bit right on the homepage. You don't have to dive down into the article. This will, basically this is where you interact with the content. You could click on a bit and it'll pop it up in this pop-up to view the thread. You could grab a link, which will give you a direct link to the bit, and you could share it with people if you want. Comments are enabled on bits, and they also follow the 280 character limit, just kind of like a Twitter type implementation or Blue Sky. And in the bits, you can post videos and images and stuff like that. Right now, the weighting's maybe a little bit off, but I'll see how people use it and do some adjustments to make it where people don't dump a bunch of stuff into one single bit and blow up your homepage. And posting a bit is super easy. The little plus sign that shows up when you're on your follow feed just lets you go ahead and type right in here. So you could type in and post a bit, and then everybody who clicks on the follow feed will see that bit, though they won't see it anywhere else on the site. So that was one of the big upgrades that I made. I also thought that the staff versus all segmentation was maybe a little bit confusing and not super obvious, so I wanted to really call it out. So the base setting of the site will be just like this on the staff side. You could click on all in the middle, which will bring up, every post on the site, regardless of whether it's official or a blog or whatever. And then, of course, the follow feed like we just talked about. And then across all of them, you still have your filter, and you could still type to search and stuff. So all of the functionality is right there. So that was the big upgrade to the site. There was also some spam recently, so I added some tooling for me to take care of spammers. And I might open up those capabilities to people who might want to be like a moderator, but there's a little bit more work to do to enable that. Also, just apologies if the audio is not great for this. Actually visiting my parents, and that's why I didn't do an update last week. And then this week is just like catching up, and I figured I had a few minutes, so I would just crank one of these out and see how it went. So, so Pixelbit, big update. More updates are definitely coming. Since the last time, I definitely want to point out how there's a RSS subscription feed now. It's right here, and I believe somewhere around here, let's check 83, I think I posted the links. Maybe. There it is. Yeah, the Spotify listings right here. And I think the iTunes listing, maybe I put it in the other feed. Oh, yeah, here we go. So in episode 84, there's Spotify and Apple Music. I'm going to get those listed here too, so you can easily click on them and go subscribe. But pretty much wherever you listen to podcasts, you can get this now. It should show up in your feed catcher. You should be able to pull the latest and check it out. So, wherever you follow podcasts, all the Pixelbit podcasts of all time are on there. One of the other upgrades that I'm doing is restoring the legacy feeds. I just haven't done it yet. I'm also going to be producing some different RSS feeds. They'll probably correlate to like staff and all, and then maybe just like a bit feed if that's of interest to somebody. My goal is basically to support all those kind of like legacy formats that people are starting to use again, rather than have like these algorithmic feeds. So so expect some RSS stuff is still coming. There's still more things that I'm kind of like fixing and upgrading and improving. And if there are things that you're interested in seeing the site do that it doesn't do yet, just let me know. And I'll definitely be adding, I'll definitely be happy to add things that we think are useful or that will help provide some more links into content. One of the real obvious ones that I'm going to add is like on a user's profile page, you could see comments here, but I'm going to add bits and I'm going to add forum replies as like a couple other categories of stuff that'll show up here. So rather than just the kind of the two different buckets, there will be 4 on a user's profile. You'll be able to see more on there. And then there's some socials that I'm going to be adding to the foot of the page, stuff to like get to our Discord, Blue Sky posts maybe. I'm not really a Twitter supporter or user anymore, X or whatever the fuck you want to call it. Not about any of that, so we won't have any presence on there. Whatever Pixelbit account you see on there is kind of like a legacy one from before it transitioned. So anyway, some social stuff will wind up in there, and then I'm still planning to do a big mass mailer to the community. Just kind of wanted to flesh out a few things, finish up some stuff that was lingering from the big transition. There's still a few more things that I'm trying to like wrap up before I do that, but pretty soon here I'll be pushing that forward, and we'll hopefully get some of the legacy users, people who have been around for a while, back into the site, writing content again and all that. So that is I think a pretty good summary of what's been going on with the site. And those are some of the improvements. One of the other ones is, I think Kerry mentioned this, he didn't know how to send a message. If you click up here where you see your private messages and stuff, all your notifications will show up on one tab, and then messages and sent messages are all in here. And if you want to send a message, it's just this button right down here. So you could type to find a user. So if I wanted to send a message to Carrie, I could click that, and I can say, hey, and write my message right in here. And then if I send this, he would get this message in his inbox, and he could reply to me from this as well. So that is how you send messages, but I do have some other upgrades to do in here. The ability to delete messages, delete all the messages that are in your like notification queue. I did not remember to port those things over when I did the upgrade to the new version of the site. Just an oversight or something I had started with, but never really finished up. So, so that is the update on the site. If you find anything that's an issue, hit me up. There's a Discord channel in our Discord that has, here, I'll just pull it up. Our Discord's right here. The site issues and updates channel can be posted. Joaquim's been really good about posting things in here. I think Daftman posted an issue. Check out our Discord. Join in and chat if you're so inclined. It would be great to have more people in there. And always a nice conversation going on in there. And then for fun, I'm going to throw this up in the background. This is Casey put up this article, so this one is a pretty hefty read, but definitely one I'd recommend. So Third Console Curse, pretty fascinating write-up that Casey did. Goes through kind of like the history of different third consoles, every third console, and talks a little bit about the curse and how it tends to be a failure before it starts, but we'll let you read and you could weigh in with your comments or see what you think. But a fun write-up from Casey nonetheless. Okay, so what have I been playing? So I'll talk about a couple things and try to keep it light on one of the topics because I don't know that I actually can say too much just yet. So I mentioned last time I was going to start Penny's Big Breakaway. I did start that. I'm up to the third world, and I'd say I'm pretty lukewarm on it so far. I thought it would actually be something I'd enjoy more than I think I've actually enjoyed it. I think the movement's a little bit goofy and it can feel a little unwieldy at times. I could sense that there's definitely like a high skill ceiling if you're doing it right, but it's not super intuitive for me, and I think I'm having a little bit of a struggle kind of connecting with the type of platforming it has. I think the times when it's the best is when you're just kind of moving through it, you're ignoring whatever collectibles. So there's like three hidden collectibles that you can get in each level, and then there's 3 tasks that you could do for NPCs in the game. And I think that the collectibles, when they're on the beaten path, or if they're like slightly off the beaten path, sometimes they're fun to collect, but sometimes it can be pretty goofy to do some of the stuff that you have to do. And if I really feel like when you're trying to achieve one of those goals, whether it's like doing a quest for an NPC, which might be like, hey, pick up these things, all 5 of them in the next 30 seconds or whatever. Or, do this task 5 times or something. There's like a few pretty bounded tasks that you'll have to do, and then you'll get the reward if you do it. And I think that as the levels have gone on, they've become hard. Those tasks have become harder to do, and in my opinion, less enjoyable. If you're kind of just blasting through the level, going fast, and maybe honoring those Sonic the Hedgehog roots, the game is definitely more interesting. Now, whether that's like how I want to play the game, like I guess it's more fun when I play it that way, but I do have this like tendency to want to collect everything and do everything. So there's like that constant pull that makes it tough to just stay focused and just go to the target. I'm going to try to play through it, even though I'm pretty lukewarm on it. It's not bad or anything. Probably right now, if I were to rate it, it would be sitting somewhere around like a 3.5 star. Not the best, not bad. There's definitely like something there that could be great, but it feels like, to me, maybe it falls a little bit short. But maybe I'll like it more as I go further. I'm not totally sure. Like I said, I'm up to World 3. I don't know how many worlds there are, and I'm not sure how long it is, but the first world was longer than the second world. And I didn't bring my Steam Deck with me on vacation. I don't really have a way to play it while I'm gone here or visiting my parents. So when I get back, I'll be playing a little bit more of that. So that's Penny's Big Breakaway. Like I said, not a bad game, not my favorite. Probably will try to get through it and do a review on the site, even though nobody will care. But anyway, it'll be at least like an interesting loop to close for me. So on the other side, the thing I've been spending probably more time playing is actually right down here on the site. So Agent 64, luckily I was able to grab a review key. So that's pretty cool. I've been wanting to play this for a long time. I played the demo. I've been following it for a while. And so far so good. I think that all I'll really say at this time without kind of getting into it, and I'll let this video kind of play in the background maybe here for everyone. Oops, not sure if I can mute this. Let's mute that for you. So if you kind of take a look, you could probably see just how GoldenEye inspired this all is. I'd say it's definitely sits somewhere between like a GoldenEye and a Perfect Dark in terms of what it is. But it follows that same mission structure that you would see in those games where, there's like a set of objectives that grow or shrink depending on how difficult of a mission you pick. So like in agent mode, for instance, you're only going to get like a limited set of objectives to complete, whereas in secret agent and then the what we would call double O agent and kind of the old or perfect agent and perfect dark. There's like 60, I think they call it 64 agent or something like that in this one. And that's the most difficult setting that has the most objectives. Enemies hit the hardest. So yeah, there's Agent 64. But enemies hit the hardest there, and in general, it's a lot more difficult than either the secret agent or agent mode. So I've played a handful of missions so far, and and I've also played some of the challenge mode, and I haven't tried the multiplayer yet, but that's still on my agenda. And I'd say, just like my brief opinion is that it edges very closely to the source material in terms of how it functions and how it plays and how it looks and how it sounds. Even the sound effects, it's like if you do you might do a double take because it sounds just like the original games in so many ways. So it's hugely respectful of that source material, even though it's not related. It has nothing to do with those games. It just takes that influence kind of to the natural extreme. I do have like a few nitpicks about it and some things that I'd say I will elaborate on when the review comes out, but I've been enjoying it a lot, and I think that that's most important. So it's very faithful, it seems. If you're into those kind of games or those old school first person shooters, I think it's something that you're going to like a lot. But I think that's all I can really say for now. I can't show any gameplay footage or anything, but just know that I'm still playing through it. It's been very good. I won't say it's perfect, but it's been very good. So, so keep an eye out for that. I think the embargo lifts on August 10th, so I might do another one of these episodes before that review drops. But keep an eye out on the site. That review will definitely be up for launch day. I think it launches on the 11th maybe, but it'll be up when the embargo lifts. And I'd say that any more details will be found there. So keep an eye out for that. But it has been very funny. It's like I feel like I just played Star Fox, and now I'm playing like this GoldenEye game. It's like the N64 all over again. And I just need another Banjo-Kazooie or something, and we'll be right at home. But yeah, so those have been like the two primary games I've been playing, and then kind of as usual, I'm always playing some sort of Kaizo stuff on the side. So I've been playing a couple different hacks and whatnot, just like casually, mostly like while I have downtime between other stuff. It's like I don't sit down and play them quite the same as I play other games, so I'm kind of like in fits and spurts where I'll just do like an exit or half a level up to a checkpoint or something. So that's kind of always happening and always going on in the background for me. But I've definitely completed a few more hacks, and I guess if people are interested in hearing more about Kaizo stuff, I guess let me know in the comments. I don't know if that's of interest to anybody, but it's something I could definitely highlight a little bit more if anyone's interested in that stuff. And then I guess unrelated announcement, but Julian Titus, so for those of you out there who are like Nerds Without Pants fans, or maybe you listen to the Stage Select, if you do, you definitely know all this, but Julian had like a bit of a health scare. He just went through some surgery, and he came through well. I think he's doing all right and doing well. So just wanted to send him some official love from Pixelbit, and I hope that he recovers quickly and that he's feeling good. So much love to you, Julian. Hope you're good, man. So yeah, pop by the Stage Select and say hi to those guys. Always recommend that you check out their podcast. It's really good. And they're really fun to listen to, but they are taking a break. But I think Julian posted something before surgery, so definitely check out their latest episode and say hello. Okay, so I think that kind of covers let's see, what's going on with the site, what I've been playing, and then kind of onto our main topic. So again, I'm going to keep this brief today, but I think that the topic that's been on my mind is kind of like trends in gaming. So, lately I've talked a lot about like industry stuff and different things that are happening there, and I kind of feel like there's this knock-on effect to the way that the industry's been moving, and I think that we see it manifest in different ways, both from like a AAA game experience and from an indie game experience. But and I also don't think that this trend that I'm talking about is unique to games. I think we see it in film and we see it in TV. But the reality is that, and it's always been true, is that when a game or a certain type of experience is successful, what you see is everyone kind of congregate around it. And I feel like what we've seen in the AAA space specifically is this congregation around really, really high production budgets, just ever improving graphics. Obviously we've had like the RTX stuff that's come out and all of that. While gorgeous, I feel like all of it's kind of like ballooning. It is bloating budgets, ballooning, I think I was going to say, ballooning budgets, and making games where one failure, one game going sideways is just enough to fire a studio. And even when games succeed, it's like that's still not enough to keep people in the loop. You're seeing layoffs, you're seeing all these things kind of come out of that. But it feels like everyone keeps congregating around these ideas because you have these certain success stories that implement it well. So everything's a big sandbox with 1 million quests and 100 hours of gameplay. And, in my opinion, a lot of those games kind of fall flat for me. They feel very much like reiterations of the exact same game over and over again. One of the arguments that I've seen kind of thrown out there continuously is like Zelda redefining the sandbox game. And I guess like for me, I don't know that that's totally true. It feels like Zelda's just like another iteration of the same notion, same concept, humongous sandbox. Maybe there's not quest markers all over the place, but kind of going from tower to tower felt very similar to like finding a high point in Assassin's Creed and taking a look and synchronizing. While it didn't have quest markers all over the place, the same kind of like deep diving through the world is a big part of it. Prioritizing, I'd say, emergent experiences in a certain way, where interacting with the world might have like unexpected or unintended outcomes. So like in Zelda, that's, maybe you roll a bomb down a hill and it blows up some barrels and then that blows up a whole encampment of moblins. Or, in Tears of the Kingdom where you build some crazy flying machine, right? Like we talked a little bit about that on the last episode. But in games like Assassin's Creed, it might just be like picking on a guy and moving him out of the way and seeing how he interacts with other people, and then pulls you into the, you get pulled into a heightened situation where maybe there's like guys around you, or like the Nemesis system. There's like all these different examples of emergence in gameplay that's kind of come out, and I feel like there's a big push towards those types of experiences where people are kind of playing in the sandbox and then the fun comes out of that. And it feels to me like constantly trying to find these very, very big games that keep people engaged, keep people potentially spending money, that running these down is bringing everybody into this position where we're seeing lots of the same games all the time. And then those games are putting companies in a position where they're having to shutter studios and stuff because those games aren't meeting the expectations, because frankly everybody can't play every sandbox game. Every live service game can't have people playing because these are games that expect you to engage for a long period of time, and they want to keep you in that ecosystem, and they're very motivated to keep you there. Then I feel like, if we kind of like look at I feel like this exact same trend really. On the indie side, you see a congregation around a few different things, but one is like roguelikes. I almost have to like prevent myself from rolling my eyes so hard they go in the back of my head every time I get an email in my Pixelbit account, because every single indie game is like this great new roguelike idea, and it's just, I get it, right? Like when you're an indie game studio, you're trying to make a bigger experience, and by the nature of just implementing a roguelike formula, people will be able to consistently stay in your game, play more and more, right? Like if we're talking, say, Hades, right? Everybody's pining for the next Hades run because it's, super exciting. You're pushing through further and further to the end, but you keep going back through the same content, which of course expands the game scope and gives you a bigger, broader experience. Some meta progression is layered on top of that, and that's the thing that's really keeping you hooked in the end. And listen, I understand that. I understand, especially for indie studios, you don't have the budget to make tons and tons of content in the same way that a big studio might make for a AAA sandbox experience, right? Where that's like mega packed with different content. This is like their way of doing that. So it feels like, you have that playing out, this roguelike thing. The survivors, you got vampire survivors driving this like survivor style gameplay, bullet heaven or whatever you want to call it, right? And then we have like our deck builders, and it feels like, you got like Slay the Spire and stuff that are, or Balatro, where these different game concepts are maybe easier to implement, or like these indie studios are seeing the effectiveness of these strategies and all congregating around similar game ideas. And I know that, everybody has like a different take on whether they enjoy these things or don't enjoy these things. For me personally, like, I'm not a big roguelike fan, so indie games have been a bit of a hit or miss for me. It's like, if it says roguelike at this point, I'm pretty much not going to play it. That's almost a surefire way for me to check out. Funny enough, I was playing, I've been playing Returnal on the PC, which I love Housemarque. I love the games they make, and I even would say that I very much enjoy the actual gameplay of Returnal, but the roguelike part of it makes it very, very difficult for me to stay engaged. I think I find that as I have to restart a cycle again every single time, it's like it's difficult to keep myself motivated to keep going back. And I think your mileage may vary. It all depends, on the person. But I think for me, that's becoming a tougher and tougher sell now. Things like shortcuts and whatnot that are in Returnal help with some of the redundancy and going back through the same spots. But I think that formula itself just wears thin for me pretty quickly, and especially at this point where, I understand the progression systems and the meta progression that they're after for all of these things, and I think the question I'm constantly asking myself is like, do you really want to engage in that for, until you get through this? And a lot of times the answer lately is just no. So I'm feeling pretty fatigued from that stuff. And I think as far as the AAA space, I've been feeling fatigued there for quite a long time. And I think that because the financial markets are so difficult, right, and because there's so much money and so much effort being poured into these games, everybody wants to do the thing that's like safe enough to succeed. And I totally appreciate that, and I understand how difficult it can be to achieve the thing that you're looking to achieve and make the money back that you're investing in your game. I worked on Pixel Cross for a couple years, and I promise you it did not recoup what I put into it. I mean, if I was making $1 an hour, I still wouldn't have recouped what I put into making that game. So I get it. It's tough, and whatever you can do to kind of like give your game a hook that someone's interested in, go for it, do it. But I think one of the things that's been exposed to me as kind of a result of this is what we're missing, and I feel like it's something I've said before, but I think especially now there's like this B tier space that feels thinner than ever. And that B tier, I think, is where the most interesting games kind of always happen. But that B tier was largely mid-sized companies, not indie studios, not little 2-3 man teams. And, even sometimes it was big studios taking risks for low amounts of money. But the way that the industry has kind of moved is that nobody wants to take those risks anymore. Everybody's optimizing everything for like maximum profit. And, even in that, they're optimizing it to a point where it's not, I don't know that it's working out that way, right? It's not resulting in maximum profit. It's resulting in a lot of really big flops. And I just think that there was an era maybe between like the PS2, PS3, whatever gens those were, 4 and 5, I can't remember offhand right now, where we just saw a lot of experimentation, a lot of really new and cool games, just lots of things that people were willing to take a risk on that I feel like people no longer are able or willing to take a risk on. And that has helped homogenize games even more, I think. And, I feel like you wouldn't see a game like Katamari Damacy right now. That would just not happen, right? You're not going to see a Gitaru Man. And I don't even think we're seeing stuff like, I don't know, even maybe more popular things like Ratchet and Clank. It's like we saw one of those on the PS5 so far, but the production value on those games has gone way, way up. And the last Ratchet was like incredible, Rift Apart. But, like on the PS2, we were just getting those things, not even just the PS2, PS3, we were getting those things like Fast and Furious. And I don't know that they were as polished as the latest ones are and all that. And it feels like we've been kind of stuck in this spot for a while now. And I think that plays directly into maybe some of the frustration people are feeling with some of these other announcements, right? Like you're talking about the PS6 and the next Xbox, Helix, whatever. We're not expecting any sort of physical media on these things. It feels more and more like things are compressing into this very, very particular style. And with, I'd say, in my opinion, the PS4 and the PS5 generations, things didn't feel very much like I feel like the PS4 generation almost never launched. Wasn't a huge fan of that machine to begin with. Wasn't really a fan of the Xbox One. And I feel like both next iterations of those systems were better, but I still barely have played anything on my PS5. I've played almost nothing on my Xbox. I got a Series X for like a crazy, crazy cheap deal. But my son plays Fortnite on it. Like my youngest son plays Fortnite on it. It's like the Fortnite machine. I played Armored Core 6 on it, which was incredible and I loved. But like, I'd rather have gotten that on PC. I just happened to get it on Xbox because it was on some crazy sale. But otherwise, there's like not a lot of motivation for me to play on any of these systems, really. So it definitely feels like these generations have failed to launch in a lot of ways. And to think that we're even approaching the next generation and then that one's going to, not have discs and not going to have ownership, no ability to buy secondhand. So it's just going to be a bunch of humongous games that I can't buy secondhand that probably won't come down tremendously in price because there's not a lot of motivation to do that. You don't have an alternative. There isn't a used game market that you're fighting with anymore, and it feels like they're happy to compress the number of players involved in order to, make more money on the whales, basically, right? That's how the industry feels like it's moving. And yeah, I think across, I mentioned it at the beginning of this, but I feel like across creative industries, we're seeing the same thing where people keep making the same kinds of bets, making the same kinds of stuff, with the same types of humor or the same types of approach, and even down to like, the types of genres of things we see. I feel like we see less and less in movies and TV. Like the comedy doesn't feel as ubiquitous as maybe it once was. And for me, that's like if I'm watching any sort of TV, if it's not comedy, I'm probably not watching it. So, but I can appreciate how many different shows are out there, and there's more content than anybody knows how to, consume. It's it's this very weird situation where it feels like there's a million things, none of which are very satisfying or interesting. And maybe I'm alone in that feeling, and that's just like a me thing. But more and more I've felt like there is great stuff out there. You have to dig even harder to find it sometimes. And there are still people doing interesting things. It's not like there's not. But I think there are these major industry trends that we see, and those have been pretty clear, I think, lately. And in that, it's definitely reducing my interest in a lot of what's happening in gaming. So yeah, I think that's kind of it, right? Is like maybe I'm just lamenting not having those B games anymore. I think that's like always been the stuff I enjoy the most. The things where people kind of like take risks on things, or I don't know, just like try something new. I just feel like maybe that's just not a thing that's happening as much from a bigger company who's got more resources and can, avoid doing roguelikes because they've got, a number of people to implement their ideas. Now, maybe in a sense it's like just Nintendo experimenting with some of that stuff, right? Splatoon Raiders feels like that kind of thing. I feel like even Star Fox, for all its amazing production value, you're getting these games at lower prices, which says to me that there's like the development costs were probably a lot lower, and they see an opportunity to kind of stratify their offerings across the things that are more of a mid-budget B tier game, right? Like Star Fox at its face is not an experience that I think most people are necessarily going to connect to. It's very arcadey. It's kind of a relic of the past in a lot of ways, and I think that's kind of like a rarer thing. And in that, it feels priced appropriately, where it's trying to, obviously it's a remake, but it's trying to carve out this different spot where it fits. And I feel like Nintendo has done that in the past. Of course, the criminal part is that those games will never come down in price, and you're stuck paying that Nintendo tax forever, which I am going to assume is going to get worse as time goes on, especially as Sony and Microsoft likely totally ditch their physical media despite the pushback, and Nintendo's game key cards become more and more ubiquitous. But at least a key card could be traded in and could be bought secondhand, so maybe that helps keep some opportunity for prices to get pushed down so that people can play games at a more reasonable price. But with all of what's happening in gaming, the prices of the next consoles, it feels like things are being lined up for an enormous crash. I don't know if that's right or wrong, but my gut tells me that things are not healthy in the game industry. I mean, obviously they're not healthy, but I think that they might be unhealthy to the point of like a big reckoning. And there's a lot of money in games, and a lot of people are spending money in games, but I'm very curious with this next generation what really happens, and where things actually wind up going. But I suspect that this unhealthiness in the industry is not going to produce very good games, and it's going to produce a lot of anger and frustration from the gamers. And, frankly, I don't know how many people are going to be investing in or being able to afford the next generation of systems. Anyway, that's it for me today. That is the topic I wanted to talk about. But stay tuned. More is coming. And we will stay in touch as the days go on here. But keep an eye on our Discord. And, I'll catch you guys next week. See ya.